Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Redevelopment Agency meeting of November 7, 2007 is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being presented live on KCLV Cable Channel 2 and are closed captioned for our hearing impaired viewers. The Redevelopment Agency meeting, as well as all other KCLV programming, can be viewed on the city's website at www.kclv.tv. The proceedings will be rebroadcast on KCLV Channel 2 and the web the Wednesday of the meeting at 8 p.m. and also on Friday at 4 a.m., Saturday at 7 p.m., Sunday at 7 a.m., and the following Monday at 1 p.m. This building is protected by a state-of-the-art fire detection and suppression sprinkler system, so should alarms activate during today's meeting, please leave through the exits, and once outside, assemble on the Las Vegas Boulevard side of the property. Employees wearing safety vests or our city marshals will inform you when it's safe to re-enter the building. There's no reason to believe that that will take place. That's a precautionary type announcement that I'm asked to make at the beginning of each meeting. Before we call our agenda, I would like to make a public statement regarding a trip that the city took back to New York City on behalf of our redevelopment efforts. I'd like to thank and congratulate the wonderful work of Scott Adams, our Director of Business Development, and Bill Arendt, who is responsible for much of our redevelopment negotiations and projects, as well as Doug Selby, our City Manager. They, to say that they worked hard would be an understatement. They were shining gems in the financial city of the world, basically, and it was a very successful trip, and the folks that we met with from the investment community are calling us. They're all coming out here. They want us to show them around our downtown. They want us to show them our community, and it would not have taken place but for Doug and Scott and Bill, and I want to thank you. Okay, we'll call item number 3, RA 18-2007, discussion and possible action regarding a resolution finding the project proposed by the Commercial Visual Improvement Program agreement between the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency and Aristotle Holdings, LP, and OG Iliadis, LLC, and OG Iliadis, AD, LLC, doing business as Olympic Garden, located at 1531 Las Vegas Boulevard South, to be in compliance with and in furtherance of the goals and objectives of the RDA. This is in Ward 3, and the item is related to Council Item 77 and RDA Item Number 4, which I will read into the record. Number 4 is discussion and possible action regarding a commercial visual improvement program agreement between the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency and Aristotle Holdings, LP, and OG Iliadis, LLC, and OG Iliadis, AD, LLC, doing business as Olympic Garden, providing funds to assist with improvements to the building and property located at 1531 Las Vegas Boulevard South, not to exceed $50,000. This is in Ward 3, and the item, of course, is related to Council Item 77 and RDA Item Number 3. Mr. Adams.
Good morning. Scott Adams, the Operations Officer of the Redevelopment Agency. This is, excuse me, an abeyance item from 2 prior meetings, and I'll just give you a real quick summary and recap at the front regarding this item. This is in regards to Visual Improvement Program grant for the Olympic Garden. I've got on the overhead, as a reminder, the before and after pictures as it exists today at the bottom, and then their proposal at the top in terms of the proposed signage improvements to be made on this project. And that's exactly what the request for funds is to make signage improvements to this building. I'll remind you that we've indicated previously that this project does comply with the strict requirements of the program in terms of match requirements and the use of funds. I would indicate to you that there were 2 areas on this application and all applications that are very subjective that you have a great deal of latitude in making decisions on. One of those is whether the proposed improvements indeed makes the visual improvement that you believe is required under this program when you establish the program. And then the other area, I believe, is that which is a statutory requirement that every project where we provide under the Redevelopment Agency private funding to a private or public funding to a private entity needs to meet the test that no other reasonable means of funding is available to that particular person. Now, I would state on that latter issue that you have, since the inception of the visual improvement program, approved 35 applications for visual improvement. In those 35 applications, you've approved a wide range of types of projects, everything from the 24-hour fitness facility, where clearly that company had the means of funding available, but we used the program as an economic inducement, and I believe met the test, for example, of inducing that particular applicant to make an investment in the redevelopment area that they otherwise wouldn't make, and therefore met the reasonable means test. In other instances, you've done an adult business. You've done Glitter Gulch. Glitter Gulch is a business where you made signage improvements, you provided funding for signage improvements, but we believe in that instance, the signage and the facade of Glitter Gulch is a very small facade, and by making those sign improvements, we're making a substantial visual improvement and change to enhance the appearance of that property. In other instances, you did Hennessy's. Hennessy's was a club or in a restaurant that moved in on Fremont Street, but it wasn't there before. And I believe in that instance, you filled a vacant space and induced a company to make an investment and locate in the redevelopment area that they otherwise wouldn't do. I could go on and on. I just wanted to give you a few examples of types of projects that you have prior approved where they've met both the visual improvement test and the no other reasonable means of funding test. And I think I briefed you in past meetings on all the different ways that we look as a staff at how you can meet both the visual improvement test and the reasonable means of funding test. So with all those matters being considered, this is before you for reconsideration from an abeyance. As I stated previously, staff is not making a recommendation because we believe on those two issues, this is a very, very close call, and that call should be made by the City Council in this instance, or in this, I'm sorry, the Redevelopment Agency and the City Council. So with those considerations, I present that.
Very good. Any questions of Mr. Adams?
I think we're up to the task.
I believe we are. Would representatives of the applicant please come forward? Would you like to be heard?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Todd Weiss, Brownstein, Hyatt, Farber, and Schreck on behalf of the applicant. Good morning, Mayor and council members. I know that you know the history, or a fair amount of the history on this matter, but I do want to give you a summary of sort of how we got to where we are at today. The applicant here has spent a significant amount of improving its facility. It spent more than $1 million on renovations on the interior of the structure. One of the things I brought with me this morning just to show you is that it's also done improvements to the exterior as well, including, you can see up here, well, you can see from their photos, the exterior was repainted, some landscaping was done, but I've also brought for you some landscaping plans to show you the landscaping additions that were added recently to the exterior of the structure at a tune of not quite $40,000 of landscaping improvement that was recently done to this facility.
Are these at the building now? Do you have pictures of the building now showing these improvements?
I do not have pictures of these other than these plans this morning.
These are just plans. Are these out there right now?
Yes, sir, they are. They are in place.
And we don't have a picture of that?
I do not have a picture of that.
I think a little bit is shown.
Yeah, that's very little.
I understand that well. As long as they don't show pictures of the interior, I feel good.
I don't want to talk about the interior.
But the applicant has spent a considerable amount of money in improving this structure and improving the business. The last component was signage. And I know that some of it has been explained to you that there was a trademark issue with the name, and so over the course of time, the entity is in the process of changing its name to OG. That process is being undertaken. The applicant had proposed what I would characterize as a relatively nice but modest sign package, and that was going to be for $28,000, and I have for the record to put into the record a copy of the contract that was proposed with Floresco back in January of 2007.
Your Honor, if I could, please.
Yes.
Do you have a picture of that proposed sign for the $28,000?
Basically, it's the
You have to identify yourself for the record, please.
Yep, sorry, Dick, go ahead.
Dick Bonar, company name of Plus. The original, there are going to be two of the signs and circles that just say OG, and that was the initial $28,000 intention. That's as shown on the,
On the top portion, and
portion there.
that was what all the signage was going to be, was this $28,000.
How much neon do we have on this new sign?
On the new sign,
Yes,
on this sign that here is proposed, or the total?
the
Total
total
will exceed the 75%, which is what staff had required us to do.
of neon.
No, a combination of neon and animation, not of neon, not of just neon. The requirement is 75% for the total.
Okay, how much animation are you going to have compared to the neon?
I don't know the answer to that. Dick, do you know the answer to that?
there's a reader board portion, and it's up here, actually.
Those are my concerns I'd rather see more neon and smaller animation or smaller reader board.
Well,
It's already been processed.
yeah, we've already put a deposit down on this sign for half of the money for the sign to have it built.
So then the sign would get built without our money then?
That's not really accurate. I mean, the history on this is, I think, pretty clear cut. We had proposed a very modest sign package of less than $30,000 for this. It was shown to the staff so that we could make sure the staff was comfortable with what we were proposing. Staff then said, you are in the overlay district, and you would qualify, if you would do a much more aggressive signage package, you would qualify for redevelopment funds, matching funds of up to $50,000. So if you are willing to spend substantially more to do these sign improvements, the city can match that up to $50,000. So in light of that, what she did was, she then went back and said, fine, that's not something she really wanted to do, because think about it, she's now having to spend $80,000 of her own money just to get 50, when she was only going to spend less than 30 on this. So she got a proposal from Floresco to do this.
Was she ever told that, during these conversations that it had to be approved by the city council?
Yes.
So she went out and spent the money on her own then, without the approval of the council?
She went out and spent the money because the staff asked them to do so. Staff encouraged them to do so. This happens.
Yeah.
Right. This happens anytime someone does an application. They have to hire an architect to do the design work. They have to spend that money in order to even submit an application to you to show you what they're going to do. That's what she did. So she's made a deposit. She entered into a contract to get the sign so that she could get the designs and get all of this done so that they could show.
Yeah, but I have the ability to make a motion for denial if I don't like the sign, though.
That's true. You have the.
And all I'm asking is there any way we can change, put more neon there and a smaller reader board?
At this point, it would require us to redesign the entire sign. And that's really the issue, is the staff has already approved the design of this. I think we even have a building permit for it.
We have building permits.
That's kind of getting the tail before the horse, though, isn't it?
I don't think it's getting the tail before the horse, Mayor Pro Tem, because, again, we wouldn't have done this had we not been basically asked to do it by the staff. We were encouraged to do it. We were asked to do it by the staff. We spent the money to do the sign, to start the process with the sign.
There's a lot more neon than what you see in this one facade. We have both sides that have neon going along the sides and along the porte-cochere that's on the north side of the building, additional signage on the porte-cochere itself. So it's a lot more neon than just this one facade shows. I think I have more detailed plans.
Well, I understand, you have the right to get a sign, you have a right for a reader board.
Okay.
All I'm saying is if we, the city, will give you $50,000, I think we ought to be able to say, this is what we like and this is what we don't like.
Well,
And you're telling me I can't.
I didn't say you can't. I'm saying you have the final word on whether there's matching funds, yes.
That's right.
We went through the normal process through staff, through the redevelopment agency.
I understand that. All I'm saying is,
The materials that were required.
this sign here is real easy, real hard to see how much neon, but I can see that reader board there, but you can't really see the neon.
There's more than.
And I'd rather see the neon than the reader board. I mean, it's not to me, it's not a complicated request.
Mayor Pro Tem, or Mayor Goodman, may I
Yes.
ask a couple questions?
Go ahead.
Yes, it's fine.
Mr. Bice,
Yes, sir.
isn't it true that you've signed a contract to build this sign with a builder, if you will, a sign builder, but you haven't paid out any money? Can't the design of the sign be changed?
I don't know the answer to that, Councilman. Perhaps it can be. I would need to be able to consult with the applicant and the sign company to find out whether or not it can be changed and what the costs associated with those changes might or might not be.
Because my understanding is that
Because we made it
you were invited to make application for matching funds, and that decision is the decision of this council. And if you were given the go-ahead by staff, it was probably the go-ahead to apply for permission to receive matching funds, but you relied on perhaps the hoped-for conclusion that you would be granted these matching funds, and I think the council might be inclined to go that way, but Mayor Pro Tem Reese has some concerns about the design of the sign. Now, in my briefing with you the other day, my understanding was that you signed a contract, but you haven't paid out any money. Can't that contract be modified if the sign design needs to be modified?
Correct. Just to clarify, we have paid money. We paid a deposit for half of the cost, $130,000. Half of that is essentially what she has paid.
You probably won't lose that money.
Well,
If a sign's going to be built, the deposit will be applied towards the total price of the sign no matter what.
I would think that you are right on that, and I would certainly hope that you are right on that. But obviously, if the sign isn't built at all, she will lose that money and would potentially be on the book for the balance.
I'm not saying that I don't want the sign built. All I'm asking is, can we have more neon and a smaller reader board? It's very simple.
And the short answer to that is, I don't think that I can answer that question for you today. I just, let me
Well, I don't
talk
wanna
to
pay
the
it, I
applicant
just-
real-
okay.
if I may have a moment, please.
And during this interim, gentlemen, with your permission, may I ask Mr. Adams a question?
Go ahead.
Mr. Adams, for clarification, I'm trying to understand the no other reasonable means of funding language. Now, you said that is one of the prongs, if you will.
Right.
Would you say one more time what that paragraph or what that sentence says? How are we to apply that?
Well,
How's it read?
I'm remiss in not actually bringing a copy of the statute with me, but it basically says, and maybe Brad could jump in on this.
I have the language that I can read into the record if you'd like me to, and I'll start with the first part. I'm paraphrasing. Essentially, the council cannot approve a project, and this is statutory, unless, and this is the language, the owner and/or tenant has declared that no other reasonable means of financing are available to undertake the improvements to the property because the return on investment is not reasonable and improvements are being financed through cash on hand and/or debt financing through private lender. Essentially, the way that language has been interpreted over time consistently by staff is that you would not make this business decision, or you cannot make it because the lender won't give you the money. And
Cannot or would not?
that's correct.
Okay, now, it seems to me that in the past, what do we rely on, Scott? Do we rely on the applicant to sign a document where they state that there are no other reasonable means of funding pursuant to the language that Mr. Jerbick read?
That's correct.
Did the applicant in this case sign that kind of a document?
That's correct. In the backup, there is an agreement that we've developed under this program. It's a boilerplate agreement that has an affidavit in it that when they make application and we enter, and it comes before you for approval, that agreement has an affidavit stating and attesting to that effect. So we're taking their word through this affidavit that they've met the test, but we still look at it reasonably and say, do we think that's true?
And the language is cannot or would not. Is that right, Mr. Jubik?
That's correct.
So they may sign this affidavit in a disjunctive way. I have to believe that this business could fund this project if they wanted to, but they might not without the matching funds, so therefore they would qualify.
Right. And that's why I used some of the past examples.
My only concern, okay, let me clarify this, please. My only concern is, we, the city, we spent a lot of money down on Fremont Street. For what? Neon. We got an entertainment district, we put neon down there. We have the boneyard for these old neon signs. We're spending a lot of money to get these signs redone in neon. The Centennial Committee, we're still out there buying these signs and having them redone because of the neon. That's all I'm asking is can't we make this sign more neon and less reader board? It's very simple.
I think
If we can do that, then I'll make a motion.
I think it's also important to make a distinction about how and why they were asked to increase the signage. I can assure you that it wasn't the redevelopment agency staff that asked them to increase the signage for purposes of this program. They are in a Las Vegas Boulevard Scenic Byway District and were found in noncompliance of that district requirement. And in that process, in the engagement of the staff in the Development Services Center in working through those compliance issues, we're told that they needed to increase their signage to meet the requirements of the district. And by the way, there happens to be a program at OBD in the redevelopment agency that you might be able to use to help you make those improvements. So I think it's important to make a distinction on the record.
I met with Ms. Eliadis and Debbie Rose, and I asked them, I says, can we make the reader board smaller and increase the neon? And they said to me they would try to see if they could get that done. That's the only thing, and that's all I'm saying, is if we can do that, then I'll make a motion.
Well, today I cannot answer the question for you because I don't have the sign company here. I don't know what the costs associated with that would be. So if that's your position, then I guess we would have to ask you to obey this until the
Well,
next meeting.
I think Ms. Eliadis has been very, very cordial, and she's been very workable with all the council members. I think they've all been briefed on this item and stuff, and I don't like to be the bottle stopper. I like to see things go forward, and again, I thought that we could answer this type of a question, so I really hate to hold it in abeyance. I understand the but-fors. I understand that. I was going to ask for more landscaping. That's why I was asking if the landscaping was there. I want to see if we get more landscaping with this type of a cleanup of this location. And so apparently we do have the landscaping. That's not an issue anymore. It's just the sign and more neon. And I really don't think it should be a big problem. I don't know whether staff, I'll ask staff, can we go ahead and approve this with a new sign brought to staff and myself to look at?
It's going to be difficult to measure how to accomplish what you want to accomplish in your motion without seeing the sign.
I would make a motion to hold this in abeyance until our next meeting, which would be the 21st of this month. And I would just ask, you don't have to go back around and make the rounds with the rest of staff. I would just like to see the original and work with the sign company and see if we can't increase the neon. And if we can do that, then I'll hold it in abeyance. If we can't, then I'll make a motion for denial.
Right. So you understand, more neon?
What I will promise, Mayor Pro Tem, that we will do is we will talk to the sign company, and I will make sure someone, if it's not myself, I will make sure someone comes and talks to you personally and shows you these in blow-up form,
Yeah.
so that we can show you the changes.
And there may be enough there.
That's the only issue I wanted to be able to
yeah.
address with you, Mayor Pro Tem, is because I think, and I apologize for not having all of it here for you today.
That's fine, no problem.
And I will, like I said, someone, if it's not me, someone will come and see you personally and lay this out for you and
Okay,
see if
thank you.
you are.
Is it a motion?
satisfied.
Let's vote on that, please. Post? Motion carries.
On item 4, Your Honor, make a motion to hold it in abeyance also.
All right, let's vote. Post?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Mr.
All right.
and council members.
Item number 5 is discussion and possible action regarding the Fremont Square Parking Validation Program, formerly known as Neonopolis, for Warula Hayward LLC, located at 450 Fremont Street in Ward 5. Anybody here from Warula?
Michael Matkins from Warula.
All right. Mr. Adams?
Okay, this is another item that really was established through, well, let me back up. Way back in '06, you started the process of granting a validation program approval for Neonopolis, now known as Fremont Square. You've done many extensions of that validation program approval, resulting in, on your last meeting, September 5th, a 60-day extension to this date today. So at the end of today, their parking validation program expires, and it's up for reconsideration for whatever period of time you deem acceptable.
All right, thank you. Any questions of Mr. Adams? Any questions of Mr. Adams? All right. Any questions of Mr. Matkins? All right. Councilman Barlow.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I would like to follow staff's recommendation for the extension. They have some tenants that I believe are coming into Neonopolis that I believe will assist us in the process of building out Neonopolis. And so for that, I would like to do what we can to assist and keep it afloat, and do our best to assist them in the process. So that would be my motion.
What was that?
A date?
Yes.
We haven't made a recommendation on this.
All right.
I will attest that, and I think a number of you know this, that there are some very sensitive and very exciting negotiations going on between the owner of Fremont Square and some prospective tenants. We talked yesterday about what an acceptable period of time would be to get through all those. I would also say that we're having very serious discussions, the redevelopment agency is, with the owner about parking commitments needed to make and secure those tenant commitments. We think that, and I know this may seem like an extensive period of time, that a 6-month extension would get us through all of these discussions and negotiations. We know there's an initial tenant that will go in here fairly soon, but then there's another one that's going to take a little bit longer, and that's the one we really want to make sure goes in and happens. And I think a 6-month period would get us through all those negotiations and get us to a point that we believe we can stand before you and say that we've got a much better situation for Neonopolis and Fremont Square.
Councilman Barlow, when we were back in New York and talking to these investment bankers, they measured things in terms of risk versus reward, and I think basically that's what the lesson that Mr. Adams learned there. I think he's saying that the risk of extending them that long may be worth the reward.
Well,
We sure hope so.
and I sure hope so. So with that, I would like to move for 6 months.
Yes, if you want to be heard, certainly.
I'll address the previous item, which time is appropriate. I would have supported that. Tom McGowan, Las Vegas resident. I recommend approval of the item. It's a good thing you have somebody here from the public, so that they understand that somebody else approves it besides you. Thank you.
All right. What was your motion, Councilman?
Well, we have one more gentleman, Mayor.
All right.
Good morning, my name is Anthony Hardley, 123 Sir David. When you talk about Neonopolis and that parking garage, even before you built the building, you built the underground parking. What I'm trying to say, that parking is important to the entire area. You need that parking. That parking is a part of downtown. It's, like I say, you can tear that building down, put another one up, whatever, but that parking, y'all keep fussing about that. And my wife gonna get rid of me if we don't be able to go downtown to see the movement and going. And, you know, that's a beautiful parking facility. You don't have to walk that far, get on the elevator, and whatever. So I'm not trying to say save my marriage while you're at it, okay? But save Neonopolis parking on the ground. And I'm not playing. I'm serious. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Councilman, what is your motion, please?
In the sake of saving his marriage, I would like for the, to follow staff's recommendation for an extension of 6 months
All
on
right,
this
let's
item.
vote, please.
Thank you.
Post.
Okay.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right, item number 6 is discussion and possible action regarding a right-of-way grant from the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency to the City of Las Vegas for a pedestrian walkway easement generally located on the west side of N Street, north of Washington Avenue in Ward 5. Mr. Adams?
Okay, this is,
I better read item number 7 as well. Discussion and possible action regarding a right-of-way grant from the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency to the City of Las Vegas for a drainage easement generally located on the east side of Martin L. King Boulevard, north of Washington Avenue in Ward 5. Yes, sir.
okay, there are
Number
actually
8
three
also?
items in a row
Right,
here.
and number 8 is discussion. I wasn't going to be here. I was like a hologram today, so I'm a little behind here. Number 8 is discussion and possible action regarding an easement and rights-of-way grant from the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency to the Las Vegas Valley Water District on a parcel of land generally located on the east side of Martin L. King Boulevard, north of Washington Avenue in Ward 5. Mr. Adams.
Okay, they're actually, I think I can handle all three of these together in the sake of time. In working through with Bank of America and their design team, all the issues relative to the development of their site and the city staff regarding right-of-way issues, we've discovered the need for 3 easements in the right-of-way and on our property in the conveyance of this property to Bank of America. There's one for a drainage, well, actually, a sidewalk easement along the backside of the property in this vicinity here, about 2.5 feet. There's a drainage easement required along the north end of the property, and then there's an actual water easement required on the backside of the property to handle all the appurtenances required to provide water service to the site. So those are really kind of cleanup easements to accommodate all the public needs and utility needs for development of the Bank of America project at location, and staff recommends approval of all 3 items.
Very good. Any questions, Mr. Adams? Did you want to be heard?
Tom McGowan, Las Vegas resident. I recommend approval of all 3 items as enhancement, contributed to the positive potential for the long overdue development and redevelopment of the entire historic West Side community of the city of Las Vegas in a genuine best public and private interest, inclusively. And by the way, in footnote, that area of town properly would be redesignated uptown, and it will be when you see the result. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right. Councilman Barlow.
Yes, Mayor, I would like to move to follow staff's recommendation for approval.
All right, let's vote. Post. Motion carries. That would be to all 3 items. Very good, thank you. All right, this is a time for citizens' participation. Public comment during the portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the redevelopment agency. No subject may be acted upon by the redevelopment agency unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, please come forward, give us your name, we'll put the 3-minute timer on, and be happy to hear from you. Yes, sir.
My name is Anthony Hodge. I live 123 Sir David. Today is a special day I know you have with the military, but I want to say this before all of us. In 1964, on the 7th of January in Phoenix, I wrote an editorial that the world really need to read it too. In fact, the people in Arizona probably just, the point is, freedom is a wonderful thing. In World War II, men fought for us to have 80 more years of pure freedom. Freedom is the greatest thing you can do. If you got good health and you got your freedom in a free nation, if you can't make it from there, you can't make it nowhere. I'm talking about freedom. And everybody, people come from all over the world, and they bring their lifestyles with them, and then they tell us we have to put the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and everything. The people, the founding people of this country, they put God in everything. God's a part of everything. God, whatever religion's on this planet, they call it whatever they want. The Creator made everything. But America is the last stand for freedom, and the women need to wake up because they carry the weight of the world. Thank you.
All right, would anyone else like to be heard?
Yeah. One second. Speaking of freedom, there it is. Tom McGowan, Las Vegas resident. The Las Vegas Grand Prix was the right race in the wrong place and caused 54 days of disruption in public mass transit and disservice to the necessity and convenience of local residents and businesses because it was devoid of proactive address of the socioeconomic consequences by responsible official leadership. That's an important thing. If you do something, don't think about just doing it. Think about the possible consequences and act to remedy those in advance, if you can. Currently, there's an immediate need to restore bus service north-south along Main Street in Ward 5 to and from the Paiute Tribal Smoke Shop. Some of you don't smoke, some of you do. It doesn't matter whether you do or don't. The point is, we have equal protection under the 14th Amendment. It's time for you to get squared away and make sure we have it. You have 3 minutes, take all the time you need. May I have the overhead, please? Thank you. Exhibits. Your attention is invited to my proposals for the development and redevelopment of the historic West Side community and Fremont East, including but not limited to Soul City, La Clave, and Club Freedom USA. I know with interest, USA, not USO. I'm a veteran entertainer of the USO. And they belong at the airport, that's fine. You don't need them downtown, you can do a better job than they do downtown. And everybody's come down to participate if they find their time and interest. Finally, there has never been an independent audit of the administrative operations of policy, practices, and activities of the members of the City Council and the mayor at large. But there should be one prior to council action to increase the salaries of and to provide a car allowance for any members of this governing body, including Redevelopment Agency and any other committees or commissions that you can dream up. The written text of my public comment is submitted and requested inclusion in the meeting minutes in accordance with NRS 241, the Nevada Open Meeting Law.
All right, thank you.
And all of this can come to be. All you got to do is say yes. The rest is history. If you say no, it'll also be history.
Thank you. Anybody else like to be heard at this time? All right. Hearing none, the Redevelopment Agency meeting is adjourned, and our morning session for the City Council meeting will begin at 9 a.m. I'm advised that out on the rotunda, there's some very special events taking place now with the Air Force Color Guard drill team performing and the Marine Corps field band performing before we commence at 9 this morning.